That's what. Okay. Yes. It is stated. Okay. We came up to this. In the fourth chapter, the result of sadhana, attaining Brahman, is described. Chatuthetu tadaptihi phalam iti. Tadaptihi Brahman. Okay. So, the qualified person, adhikari, the qualified person, adhikari, for this work. Okay, right. So that no auspiciousness. Andeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padagumanam Shri Guru Vaishnavam Shri Shri Rupam Sagar Jatam Tam Tam Siddhivam Sadvaitam Savachutam Parijana Savitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sarvana Shri Shanthanam Tamscha Namo Vishnu Vaya Krishna Krishna Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Nitanande Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Prachadne Nirvishesha Shunyanati Pashatya Veshitaditi Shri Krishna Chaitanya Guru Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Yeah. The qualified person, adhikari for this work, is a person with a pure heart, devoid of material desires, who is greedy for the association of spiritual people, who is endowed with great faith and possesses qualities such as peacefulness. Such as peacefulness. Yatra nishkama dharma nirmal chittaha. A person whose heart has become spotless due to his engagement in nishkama dharma. He's carrying out dharma without a desire to fulfill his passionate desires. Sat prasanga lubdha. He is greedy for sat prasanga, for intimate association with saintly authorities. Satam prasanga, mamavirya samvita, sat prasanga. Shraddhaluhu is filled with shraddha, with great faith in the process. Shantyadiman possesses qualities such as peacefulness. Adhikari, this is the eligible candidate. Yatra yasyam dharme. Satyadini, Agnihotrādini cha grahyani. When it comes to duties, these are common duties such as being honest, satya, and also specific duties such as performing Agnihotra sacrifices. That is the duty of a Brahmana. So it's just an illustration that corresponding to one's Varna and Ashrama, one should carry out the specific duties. One should be fixed in that, and also the common duties. The common duties we have in 7th canto of Bhagavatam. Common duties.
So Brahma Sutra can be studied also by non-Brahmanas, apparently, if they are devotees.
Shanti or peace, tranquility of mind is a symptom of Brahmanas. Anyway, let's continue. I think things will become more clear. Shraddhaluhu tad upadishta Vedanta Vakyartha Trida Vishwasavan Shraddhalu, or who's endowed with great faith. This means he has absolute firm conviction in the teachings of the statements of the Vedanta or the Upanishads that are taught, that are referred to in the teachings of the Vedanta Sutra by these great masters. Sometime, because he is greedy for the association of saintly authorities, naturally they'll be teaching on this. He needs to have firm faith in these teachings. Shantyadima ityadi padaha yamo parati tidiksha samadhayaha. When it says possesses qualities such as peacefulness, such as refers to other qualities. Those the other qualities are yama, acceptance of regulative principles, uparati, detachment, renunciation, titiksha, tolerance, samadhi, being absorbed uninterruptedly in meditation on the Supreme Brahman with a peaceful mind. एतेन अनुरक्तस्यापि ज्ञाने अधिकारः कर्मसु न पंगवादेर इति व्यञ्चिता. What does that mean? That if a person has devotion, if he is simply filled with devotion unto the Supreme Lord, then he is eligible to attain philosophical knowledge concerning the Supreme Being. He is not eligible for executing mundane pious credits, just as lame people are exempted from executing certain ritualistic functions. Okay, then Sambandho Vachya Bhavaha. The Sambandha is that the words of this work describe the subject Brahman. The subject is Brahman, Vachyam Brahma, Vachikam Shastram. And the scripture is the one that presents information about this Brahman, Tad Bhavaha Sambandha. And their relationship is what is referred to as Sambandha here. The subject or Vishaya is the faultless Supreme Lord, endowed with eternity, knowledge and bliss, possessing unlimited inconceivable shaktis and possessing unlimited pure qualities. Vishayaha, Niravadyaha, Vishuddha, Ananta Gunaganaha, Achintya Ananta Shaktihi, Sachidananda, Purushottam. The subject matter is Purushottam, who is Sachidananda by nature, who is spotless, who possesses unlimited pure qualities, and who has unlimited inconceivable potencies. Vishayaha, Shastra Pratipadyaha. The subject or Vishaya refers to the subject of this scripture, Vedanta Sutra. Prayojanam to Ashesha Dosha Vinasha Purasaras Tat Sakshatkara Ityupari Spashtam Bhavi. The goal or prayojana is to realize the Lord after having destroyed countless faults. These four Adhikari, Sambandha, Vishaya and Prayojana are called the four Anubandhas, prerequisites. Anubandha Chatushtaya. Okay, Tat Sakshatkaras Tat Praptihi. To realize the Lord means to attain the Lord in this context. Yasyam Khadu, Vishaya, Samshaya, Purvapaksha, Siddhanta, Sangati, Bhedat, Pancha Nyayangani Bhavanti. All this will become clear later. There are 5 parts to each topic or adhikarana within the pada or section of the chapter. See, Vedanta Sutra or Brahma Sutra is divided into adhyayas. Adhyaya means a chapter. There are 4 adhyayas, 4 chapters. each adhyaya is divided into 4 padas in Vedanta Sutra. And pada can be taken as a section. So each chapter is divided into 4 sections. Each section is divided into a number of adhikaranas or topics of discussion. Or you can say, simply call it subsections. Now these adhikaranas, each adhikarana may have one sutra or more than one continuous sutras. And these adhikarana divisions are made by commentators. The padas or sections and the chapters, adhyayas, those divisions are made by Vyasadeva. So each adhikarana or each subsection contains these elements, Vishaya, subject. This Vishaya is not the overall Vishaya, this is a Vishaya pertaining to that particular subsection. Vishaya literally means topic. Samshaya, doubt. Purvapaksha, objection. Siddhanta, conclusion. And Sangati. Sangati means agreement with agreement. It just means agreement. It can be agreement with the rest of the section, the rest of the chapter, the rest of Vedanta Sutra, the rest of the entire body of Vedic knowledge. The Vishaya or subject is often a specific passage from the Upanishads. The Adhikarana may be only one sutra or may extend over many sutras. Okay. Yasyam khalu Vishaya samshaya Purvapaksha Siddhanta Sangati Vedat Pancha Nyayangani Bhavanti. Samshaya Ekasmin Dharmini Viruddha Nanartha Vimarshaha. Here he goes and starts defining these items also. But here, samshaya refers to a consideration that an item which possesses multiple properties may exhibit multiple features. So we do not know which of that is actually connected to the object. Standard example from Nyaya texts. We see from a distance a person, a human being. And then we go close and we realize it may not be a human being. And then we go closer and we realize it's actually just a pillar, a decorated pillar. So then there's a lot of analysis on this psychology of doubting. On what basis these doubts come? So when you look at that decorated pillar from a distance, it has certain features which resemble the features of a human being. But it also has certain other features which resemble a pillar. So when you notice both of them, then you begin to have a doubt. So that's called the samshaya. Pratikulaha arthaha purvapakshaha. Pratikula artha, an opposing contention is called purvapaksha. Pramanikattvena abhyukataha arthaha siddhantaha. A siddhanta refers to the final conclusion. In line with something which has been accepted as evidence by both parties. So it is a conclusive evidence. That is siddhanta. Okay, then sangatihi purva uttarayoho arthayoho avirodha. Sangati refers to lack of contradiction between what was presented before and what will be presented later. Consistency. Sa tavad shastra sangatihi adhyaya sangatihi pacha sangatihi cha iti. And it is of these varieties. Shastra sangati, agreement with the shastra. Then adhyaya sangati, agreement with the rest of the chapter. Pada sangati, agreement with the rest of the pada. Tatra nikhile shastre brahmaiva saparikaram vicharyam iti shastra sangati. Shastra sangati refers to the idea that the entire scripture of Brahma Sutra is dealing with Brahman along with his paraphernalia as the subject of deliberation. Adhyaya sangatistu tatra prathame lakshane sarvesham vedanam ityadina darshita asti. Regarding Adhyaya sangati, it has already been pointed out that in the first lakshana or in the first chapter, all the Vedas have a single topic of discussion and so on. That was already pointed out. Pada sangatayaha tu pratipadam darshitaha sante. Agreement with each pada that is shown for every pada separately, for every section separately. Urvottara adhikaranayoho mithaha avantara sangatayaha cha shat sambhavanti. Between the adhikaranas or inside a single adhikarana also, between the sutras, there are also considerations of consistency of 6 types. Akshepa sangati, drishtanta sangati, pratidrishtanta sangati, prasanga sangati, upodghata sangati, apavada sangatischa iti. There are of these varieties. Okay, let me just briefly explain and then he'll go into further details about each of them. Akshepa sangati means, see, you have to explain why this sutra came or why this adhikarana has come into picture. So then the commentators, sometimes they point out, see, previously he stated X. Now he has to deal with an objection, possible objection to that statement X. So anticipating the objection, he brings up this particular adhikarana or this particular sutra within that adhikarana. Akshepa sangati.
Yeah.
Based on akshepa or objection.
Akshepa.
Drishtanta sangati. As an illustration, he might have made a general point which requires to be illustrated. So Drishtanta sangati is another type of sangati, harmonization. Pratidrishtanta sangati, counter example. We may give one example, but somebody can give a counter example in order to refute it. That has to be dealt with.
So, but this the Purva Pakshi gives the example. So we are quoting.
He has to deal with that anticipated Purva Paksha's counter example.
Okay, so this is a reply of the counter example.
Yes.
Okay.
Occasionally, according to Govinda Bhashya, sometimes Vyasadeva also presents Purva Paksha points.
Yes.
Then Prasanga Sangati, incidental. Some topics need to be discussed out of incidental considerations, like for instance, when there's a discussion about the demigods worshipping Brahman. So then Vyasadeva will take up into consideration, so demigods also worship Brahman. We should not think that because demigods are worshipped through the processes of rituals, that because they are having superhuman, supernatural abilities, they don't need to worship Brahman. So a few sutras might be discussing that. Or for instance, Brahmana, Shudra cannot engage in Brahma Vichar. Okay. So then some sutras may go to elaborate on that point. So that is incidental discussion. Upodghata sangati.
Gata.
Upodghata means introduction. There might be an introductory discussion which leads to a particular point which will develop later in the pada or later in the adhyaya or later within the same adhikaram. Apavada sangatihi. Apavada means exception. So he might have stated some general principles. And now he has to present an exception. Apavada sangati. So these are all connections. How are they connected? How are these adhyayas connected, or how are these padas connected, or how are these adhikaranas connected? What are the different links? So there are 6 types of links that are possible, and he has enlisted all the 6 here. पूर्वाधिकरणे सिद्धान्तयुक्तिम् उत्तराधिकरणे पूर्वपक्षयुक्तिं च अन्यत्र आक्षेपादिकं योज्यम्. So in the previous adhikarana, some Siddhanta might have been presented, and the next adhikarana, some Purva Paksha might be presenting its opinions that could be rejected through an objection and so on. So these things will have to see. Actually speaking, the Vedanta Sutra is a very, very complicated book, even though it's very small. You can just print it in some 15 pages. But actually, there's a lot of thought inside it, lot of thought. And if you notice with the commentators, how much they argue about particular words, particular syllables, the placements, the orderings of the sutras. Lots of discussions have taken place within the last at least 1,300 years. Lot of discussions. In Indian philosophy, Vedanta discussions have held a very powerful influence on such a small book. It's only some 550 sutras or something like that. And these are only sutras. We can print it within 10-15 pages. But still, so much of discussions are there. Because one group will say, no, but your Sangati is not proper. Our Sangati is better. See, our one is the proper one. And they go on like that. But at least it points out that there's a lot of intellectual content here. Vakshyamahanam artham manasi nidhaya tadartham arthatara varnanam podghantava. Now, what is an introduction? Upodghata. And Upodghata is
Upa Udgata.
Yes. In order to unpack a particular subject, certain preliminary topics are discussed in order to prepare the way. So that is called an introduction. Taduktam chintam prakriti siddhartham upodghatum vidurbudha. So this is deliberation in order to make it possible to discuss the actual subject matter. Ashraya ashrayi bhava adeyaha api atra sangatayaha bodhyaha. Eta yathastaram vyanjayishyamaha. Then there are also certain other types of links. For instance, a topic might have been discussing a particular subject, and then the next topic discusses an element of that. So this is called ashraya, ashrayi bhava. One is the ashraya, the big subject, superset, and the other is a subset of that. So all of that is also to be understood as being included within this discussion of links, sangatis. Okay, so let's get back here. Nyayaha adhikaranam. Adhikarana is also called nyaya. Vishayaha, vichara yogya vakyam. Vishaya or subject is that it's a statement in the scripture which is fit for deliberation. The subject is a statement of something worthy of discussion. Sangati means that the various statements found in various scriptures do not contradict the conclusion. Sangatriha shastradi vishayataya bahvidha api na vitayate vishaya avagato swayam vidyotanat. Here the Sangati refers to several types of Sangatis, such as Shastra Sangati, Adhyaya Sangati, Pada Sangati, and then we noticed 6 different varieties of Sangati. Plus, there are also Ashraya, Ashrayi, Bhava, and different types of links. All of that is included here. They are not elaborated here because when the subject matter itself is understood, the nature of the links will also become evident. विषय अवगतौ इति शास्त्र अध्याय पादानाम् अधिकरणानां च अर्थप्रतीतौ सत्यम्. So when one understands the points that are brought out in the Shastra, Brahma Sutra, in its particular chapters, in its particular sections, in its particular subsections, then the nature of these links will also become clear. Vidyotanarth, Puranarth. Okay. एकत्रिंशत् सूत्रस्य एकादश अधिकरणस्य प्रथमपादस्य व्याख्यानम् आरभते. Now he begins to explain the first pada, which contains 11 adhikaranas, and it contains 31 sutras. Yo vai bhuma, by a discussion on this statement that begins with Yo vai bhuma ityevam sthite. Under these circumstances, Brahma Jigyasa adhikaranam tavat pravartate. Brahma Jigyasa. Now,
So,
topic one.
so Vyasadeva divided Brahma Sutras in Pada and Adhyaya, but then the commentators, they came up with the Adhikaranas.
Yes.
So the Adhikaranas, let's say let's say Madhva, Shankara, Ramanuja, they came up with the same Adhikaranas, or
No, different.
so we are following the Adhikaranas by Baladev Vidyabhushan.
Yes.
And Madhvacharya too, or not?
Sometimes not.
Okay.
He grouped the sutras differently.
Okay. Yeah.
Nimbarka also divides it differently. Vallabhacharya also divides it differently.
Yes.
In fact, Vallabhacharya, for him, Athato Brahma Jigyasa is one sutra. Janmadhyasya yataha, and the next sutra, what is the next sutra?
Shastra Yonitvat.
He reads it together as a single sutra. So that freedom is also there.
Okay.
Sometimes they group two sutras together. Sometimes one sutra is broken into two and divided, read separately also.
Yeah.
Apart from that also, sometimes some commentators have sutras which others don't have. But in India, these variant readings, nobody bothers so much about it. Okay. Brahma Jigyasa Adhikaranam, inquiry into Brahman. The work starts with the topic called inquiry into Brahman. So this first Adhikarana is called Brahma Jigyasa. Adhikarana dealing with Brahma Jigyasa. This is a subject called Vishaya. Tavat Pravartate. Yo vai bhuma tat sukham, nanyat sukham asti, bhumaiva sukham, bhumatveva vijigyasitavya iti. So this is the subject matter here. And it means that which is great is happiness. There is no other happiness. That great Brahman is happiness. One must know this great Brahman. This is Chandogya Upanishad 7.25.1. So, the sub-commentator explains this statement. Vipula sukha rupaha harihi jigyasyaha ityarthaha. This means that Lord Hari, whose nature, who is extensively blissful by nature, should be the object of inquiry. One must know about Lord Hari. Atma va are drashtavya shrotavya mantavyo nididhyasitavyo maitreyi iti cha shruyate. And we also hear from the Shruti, one should know this Brahman, hear about him, and think about him. O Maitreyi, one should know this Brahman. This is Brihadaranyaka Upanishad 2.4.5. Atma va iti Atma Pareshaha. Atma refers to the Supreme Lord. Atati vyapnoti ityati utpatte. Etymologically, Atma means the all-pervading being. So the all-pervading being is the Supreme Lord. Nididhyasitavyaha jigyasitavyaha. Here the word nidhyasitavya has been used, and it means one should inquire about this Brahman. One should inquire about this Brahman. One should know about this Brahman. Jigyasitavya. Iti bhavati samshayah. Why does this talk about Dhyanam? Apam is here. Something is. Okay, anyway. Iti bhavati samshayah. So the doubt arises. Adhita vedasya pumsaha dharmagyasya brahma jigyasa yukta na yukta va iti. For a person who has studied the Vedas, for a man who has studied the Vedas, I'm assuming that that man knows dharma. Dharmagya is a dharmagya. For such a person, is it appropriate that he pursues the knowledge of Brahman or not? The doubt is as follows. Is inquiring to Brahman necessary or not for a person who studies the Vedas and who knows Dharma?
So this sounds like the doubt coming from the Purva Mimamsa.
I think this is dealing with Purva Mimamsa.
Yeah.
Sangam Vedam Adhitya Tasya Phalavat Artha Avabodhakatvam Vikshya Tan Nirnaye Swayam Pravardate. When one studies the Vedas along with the Vedantas, and then studies, of course, there's a traditional Brahmanical method of studying by memorizing, and also you're trained in Vyakarana and so on. Vyakarana, logic, and they're trained in the Vedantas. And then when he notices that the Vedas contain statements which are purposeful, which lead to a particular purpose, then one naturally endeavors to ascertain what that purpose is. Shravanasya praptatvad anuvadaha shravana pratishthartatvan maranasya apisaha tasmat nididhyasanam eva vidiyate iti yachakshyate. Now, one naturally studies. Here the rule is not that one must study, because he has already studied. And on the basis of his study, he is already beginning to contemplate and reflect and try to understand. So then this Upanishad statement, what exactly is telling us to do? It is not telling us to study the Veda. It is not telling us to even reflect upon the Veda. It is telling us to inquire about the Veda. Inquire about Brahman, in fact, as the subject matter of the Veda. Iti vyachakshate. Learned authorities say that. Taditam vibhavyam. So this is meant to be understood. Dharmagyasya nishchita karma tat phala swarupasya. Now when you say that a man who knows dharma and who has studied the Veda, for him whether Brahma Jigyasa is appropriate or not, that expression for a man who is dharmagya, that indicates that he has already ascertained the nature of karma, the various rituals and so on, the special benefits that accrue to one who engages in them with the proper attitude. One knows these things. For such a person, is he supposed to study the Vedanta Sutra? Is he supposed to analyze the Upanishads and try to understand what it means? Is he supposed to do this or not? That is the doubt. So then Purvapaksha. Apama somam amrita abhuma. Akshayam havaikya chaturmasya yajinaha sukritam bhavati ityadishu dharmaihi amritatva akshaya sukhatva shravnat nayukta iti purvasmin pakshe prapte. It is said we have attained immortality by drinking the Soma juice. That's Rigveda 8.18.3. Those who follow the vow of Chaturmasya attain eternal credit. Apastamba Shrauta Sutra, Krishna Yajurveda 8.1.1. Thus, by following Dharma, one attains immortality and unending happiness. Inquiry into Brahman is therefore unnecessary. So, this is the Purvapaksha. This is the opponent's view.
So it is, first is the doubt, and then there is the reason for the doubt.
First is the topic.
Yeah.
First of all, it is the subject, the topic, Vishaya. Based on the Vishaya, one develops a doubt. A doubt will have at least two alternatives. And then there will be argumentation to prove that all the unacceptable alternatives are proper. Then comes up the Siddhanta, in which it will prove that the final one, which was left out, that is correct. And it has to logically and on the basis of scriptural evidence, according to the approved methods of scriptural interpretation, it has to prove that those ones are invalid, this one alone is valid.
Yeah.
Apama iti. Somarasa panena amaratvam vakyarthaha. This apama soma amrita bhuma indicates that when we engage in certain pious activities which allows us to drink so much juice, then we will attain immortality. Akshayam iti. Chaturmasyena karmana yaha ishtavan tasya sukritam akshayam avinashi bhavati. Ityarthaha. That person, those who follow the vow of Chaturmasya attain eternal credit. What it means is that person who is engaged in that pious activity, that fire sacrifice, which is the vow of Chaturmasya. Within Karmakanda system, there is a vow of Chaturmasya. He attains eternal credit. He attains eternal credit means he attains material benefits that are never destroyed. They are not subject to any form of destruction. Iti purvasmin pakshe prapte. So when such a purvapaksha is raised, Bhagavan Badarayana Vyasaha praripsitasya shastrasya adivam sutram avatarayati. Then Bhagavan Badarayana Vyasa, he introduces the first sutra within this scripture, which he intends to begin. Hearing this objection, Lord Vyasa raises his first sutra at the beginning of the work. This is the Siddhanta.
So what the commentators do, they explain why did Vyasa started this way, what he had in mind, to what he responds, to which kind of doubts he responds. That's what they do.
Yes, yes. Elaborate discussions and then elaborate criticisms and counter criticisms of each other's analysis of why Vyasa did it.
Yeah.
Okay, then we come to Sutra 1.1.1. Athato Brahma Jigyasa. Take this up. Okay, then 6 months. Okay. Athato Brahma Jigyasa, Atha, Ataha Brahma Jigyasa. Implicit is the word yukta, which means it is appropriate. Now, that means after associating with a person who has realized the absolute truth, ataha, for this reason, it means because one has realized that the results of kamya karma or karma kanda are limited and temporary, brahma jigyasa, which means the inquiry for the nature of Brahman, inquiry about the nature of Brahman, yukta, is appropriate. In other words, what this means is one should desire to attain knowledge, understanding, and realization of Brahman. Throughout the Upanishads and in Vedanta Sutra, the word jnana conveys three things: knowledge, understanding, realization. So I will always refer to it like this. After attaining association with devotees, one begins the inquiry concerning the Lord.
So this is the translation of Baladevi Vibhushan of the sutra. After attaining a session of devotees, one begins the inquiry concerning the Lord. This is what Baladevi Vibhushan says. It means.
No. This is Banu Maharaj.
Oh, this is Banu Maharaj. Okay.
Baladev is coming now. Go in the Bhashya. Ataha Shabdaut Atra Anantarya Hetu Bhavayoho Bhavataha. See the words Atha and Ataha. They respectively mean thereafter and therefore. Atha Anantaram. Thereafter. Ataha. Therefore. Brahma Jigyasa Yukta. Inquiry into Brahman is appropriate. Iti Akshara Yojana. This is the way the words have to be understood. Vidhina Adhita Vedasya Apatataha Adhigata Tad Arthasya Ashrama Satyadibhihi cha Vimrishta Sattvasya Labdha Tattva Vid Prasangasya. Artha, after one has properly studied the Vedas and after he has roughly understood the meaning of the Vedas, that person whose heart has been purified through his ashrama duties, through his common duties beginning with truthfulness, after he attains intimate association with those who are realized in absolute truth, tat prasanga anantaram, after such intimate association, ataha, therefore means kamya karmani parimitani, no, parimita nitya phalani, brahma swarupam tu jnana labhyam, akshaya ananta chitsukham, nitya jnanadi gunakam, nitya sukha hetuhu, iti pratyayat. Because one realizes that the kamya karma activities, they lead to limited and temporary results, temporary benefits. On the other hand, the nature of Brahman, on the other hand, the personality of Brahman can be attained through the process of knowledge, understanding, and realization. And that personality of Brahman is possessed of inexhaustible, unending knowledge and bliss. He eternally possesses knowledge and has other features like this, and he is the cause for the attainment of eternal happiness. So when one realizes this, kamya karma hana purasara chaturlakshmyaha jigyasa yukta, it is appropriate that such a person abandons engagement in kamya karma and he inquires about Chaturlakshmi on the Vedanta Sutra. Tika Athata iti tadarthasya Vedarthasya. After one has studied the Vedas properly and he has roughly understood the meaning of the Vedas, that is the first requirement. Vimrishta Sattvasya Vishuddha Chittasya ityartha. Or something is coming. Okay, but somebody else is supposed to. Maybe we'll also, we'll stop with this. We'll
Yes.
resume on the next session.
Thank you very much, Prabhu.
Thank you, Prabhu. That was fun.